foe. But why does this image send a shiver of fear down our spines? In shape and movement, they are so different from us that legend and folklore have given them a sinister reputation they don't really deserve. How can we understand an animal that smells with its tongue? Or that hears with its whole body, sensing vibrations? The hypnotic stare of its unblinking eye can seem as alien as its apparent rebirth through the shedding of its skin, sloughed off like a scaly ghost of itself. Among them are giants that storybooks say are 100 feet long and ready to strangle unwary jungle explorers. And yet, there is this little guy, a thread snake, very friendly and not deadly at all. There is even beauty and grace in some as they go upon their bellies, silently through the trees. But where did snakes come from? An animal that looked much like some other reptiles alive today. It's hard to believe that snakes have anything in common with creatures like this. But in fact, every reptile descended from the same ancestor. This primitive ancestor led to two groups of animals, turtles and all other reptiles. All through the age of the dinosaurs and during the emergence of lizards, snakes were nowhere to be seen. But there were legless lizards, and it was from these that snakes evolved. For 110 million years, they have been living side by side with other reptiles. Today, there are more than 2,500 different species of snake. Hidden within their bodies, vestiges remain of the legs they lost. But snakes, with a skull, backbone, and a multitude of ribs, are able to move quickly in several ways. The serpentine crawl of the cobra. Most snakes move like this. The movement creates little ridges in the ground, which the snake pushes against to propel itself forward. When you're short and fat, like this puff adder, throwing cobra-style loops is impossible. Instead, the muscles act on the ribs. As the ribs move, the snake's scales grab hold of the ground, and with a series of rhythmical contractions, the snake rows along in the sand. The famous sidewinder favors the serpentine wave, and like the cobra, it can push itself against the ridges it nudges up in the sand. By moving sideways, it needs only 2 points of contact on the very hot sand. At any one time, most of its body is held in the air. Legs? Who needs them? There are different problems for a tree-climbing python in a rainforest. To reach across a gap, it can stiffen sections of its body, becoming its own ladder from branch to branch. This sinuous and flattened body, with its broad tail working like an oar, could be mistaken for an eel. But this is no fish. It's a sea snake. Most snakes can swim, though even the sea snake must interrupt its hunting now and then for a breath of air at the surface. As hunters, in water or on land, snakes are silent and efficient killers. A rattlesnake has more than its bite to work with. Its tongue constantly tastes the air, scenting for prey. Its body senses ground vibrations, even the footsteps of a mouse. Standing still is no defense. The rattler is also able to sense body heat. Infrared heat, detected by sensory pits on each side of the face, pinpoints the prey. Their high-tech weaponry has been around long before ours. But in any combat situation, defense is as important as attack. This military training ground is home to two other opponents. The rare red cockaded woodpecker lives in this loblolly pine. Its enemy is a corn snake, whose tactics are to climb the tree and steal the woodpecker's chicks. The bird's defense is to peck at the tree, releasing its resin. But how can resin repel this relentless invader? It's getting close. Will the woodpecker's weapon really work? The resin goes into action. Seeping between the scales, it irritates the snake's skin. Woodpeckers won, corn snakes nothing. Australia, home to the most venomous snakes in the world. In these cane fields lives one of the most deadly. But why do snakes need venom? This inland taipan is hunting rats. The cane fields are alive with them. But they are dangerous prey. Rats can bite back. A snake's head contains all its sensory equipment: eyes, taste, smell, brain. And the head is vulnerable. It bites and retreats immediately. The head is undamaged, and the venom is doing its work. The rat is now paralyzed. The snake can safely approach its prey. Venom gives the snake two huge advantages. It not only kills the prey, but by the time the snake begins to swallow the rat, the venom has already begun to digest it, breaking down cells in the body. The venom in a baby snake can be even more powerful than the adults. This young Cantle viper is luring prey with its worm-like tail. The frog is deceived by the enticing movements. Unaware of its lucky escape, the frog remains convinced there is a worm there. Amazingly, the frog seems unable to see the snake. The venom acts quickly, subduing the frog. The young viper catches mainly amphibians, But as it grows older, the chemistry of its venom will change to suit other prey. Donald Stridham works with South African snakes to understand how venoms affect the bodies of prey animals and how the venom is delivered during a bite.
The snake that I've chosen here is a puff adder, and they've got the very long front-hinged fangs with a cytotoxin, a cell-destroying venom. I'm going to very carefully open up the snake's mouth and show you this mechanism. The snake doesn't like its mouth to be open. It's much like you going to the dentist and having your mouth prodded into. Now the fangs lie against the palate of the mouth. So if I just open there, you can hardly see the fangs. But if I now slip my stick just behind the fangs and get them forwards, you can very clearly see how they hinge. Now the fangs are covered by a skin sheath here. I'm going to try and slip this sheath up so that one can see the naked fang. And there we have one fang nicely exposed. These fangs are hollow. They work like little hypodermic needles, so they inject venom through the fang into its victim. And in fact, you can see a tiny droplet of venom on the one fang there. You know, the venom glands of a snake are very similar to the saliva glands in a human, in that if we have a dry mouth, our body very easily reproduces saliva. And the mechanism with a snake is almost exactly the same, in that venom is never easily exhausted. Under normal conditions, the snake is never without its venom.
A gaboon viper produces venom in huge amounts. It's a large, fat-bodied snake and needs to have a lot of venom to subdue large prey quickly. The viper is too slow to chase its victim. To inject such large quantities, the gaboon viper has the longest fangs in the world. Each is almost as long as a human thumb. That's quite a bite. Even a smaller bite is no fun. Venom is breaking down the cells inside this man's punctured leg. He's not feeling too bad now, but measurements show his leg is swelling fast, a sign that the snake injected a potentially fatal hit of venom. Blood vessels are rupturing. Fluid is accumulating as tissues break down. Only the correct antivenom can stop the process before vital organs are damaged. Antivenom is a specially prepared fluid, a serum containing antibodies, proteins that will neutralize the venom in the snakebite. The patient has survived the night, but the tissue damage continues for a while. There is still venom present. Although snakes are not trying to kill us, it's worth knowing how some of them bite.
The next snake that I have here, it's Africa's most venomous snake. And this is a boomslang. It has drop for drop the strongest venom of any snake in Africa, more so than a black mamba or any of the cobras. Most people think that a black-fanged snake can't bite onto a large part of your body. Most people think that the boomslang can only latch onto your earlobe or small finger. Whereas you can see here, this is not true, in that the whole head of the snake is divided in half by its mouth. And they can open that mouth up to about 120 degrees. And with the mouth that wide open, they could very easily bite you on the flat of your hand or the top of your leg, wherever it pleases. If you were bitten by this snake, you would literally bleed to death. So what's going to happen to you is that you're going to bleed into your heart, into your stomach, into your bowels. You're going to be urinating blood, defecating blood, and it's really a horrific way to die.
This poor frog is about to be the victim of a vine snake in Central America. This snake is also back-fanged, just like the boomslang. Fortunately for small prey, death comes quickly. The venom of some snakes with fixed fangs attacks the nerves.
Now, the front fixed fang snake that I've chosen is a snouted cobra here. These fangs are much smaller than the front hinged fangs of an adder. Those fangs don't have to fold backwards. You see, they remain erect in the mouth. So the snake merely has to snarl its mouth and so inject its venom. And sometimes a mere scratch is enough to kill you. The neurotoxins would interfere with the neural communication system of our body and paralyze the vital organs, so the heart or the diaphragm muscle, and one would die from asphyxiation. You literally cannot breathe and possibly die of heart attack.
In most countries where people face a daily risk of encountering snakes, wood piles and exposed trash heaps are surprisingly common, yet all can encourage snake trouble. Wood piles provide shelter for snakes, and trash attracts rats. What better prey is there here in Africa for a black mamba? 6 feet of powerful hunter, it haunts the outbuildings and can strike like lightning with a quick-working venom. To a black mamba, this bungalow is just another place where food may be in good supply. Inside, Tony Morgan confronted an uninvited guest, and it bit him.
This is a typical corner that snakes like to hide in, and it was a similar corner like this near my front door on the farm that I found a mamba all curled up here with my fishing rods and various things like that. And as I don't kill anything, particularly snakes, I grabbed this particular implement and I thought that I hooked him out and I thought that I'd pinned him down. Unfortunately, he was able to stretch quite a bit and he got me just below the knee with one fang. I then lasted exactly 30 minutes. Anne, my wife, got me down to Donald's place very quick. And then he took over and drove me down to the hospital, where we were fortunate in finding a doctor on duty. And 30 minutes after the bite, I said to him, I cannot exhale anymore. And he said at the same time, which I didn't hear, his heart has stopped as well. So in effect, I was dead at that time.
Bill Haast in Florida is the kind of person to whom Tony Morgan owes his life. But collecting venom to make anti-venom has almost cost Bill his own life.
I was bitten by a cobra and ended up in a respirator. I'd stopped breathing. I was bitten by a mamba in the leg, a king cobra bite in the knee. Well, my blood pressure went to 0. But the most recent one, which was a canebrake rattlesnake, a couple of months ago, I got bitten on the back of the hand. That was almost pure carelessness.
Bill, who's nearly 90, milks venom into a collecting jar while he gently squeezes the venom glands. But how has he survived 168 bites? The answer may be quite natural. The South African Cape cobra, a highly venomous snake, is prey to meerkats. But why are meerkats apparently unaffected by frequent cobra bites? They seem to be immune. Perhaps the frequency of such bites is a clue to Bill's survival.
Back in 1948, September the 18th to be exact, I started immunizing myself with venom from the Cape cobra of South Africa. I diluted the venom 10,000 times and took 1/100th of a milliliter. Then I graduated or increased the dose over months and then eventually years, added different species until now, on usually once a week, I take a booster, and it's a mixture of 32 different species. So I know that got me through a lot of these bites, at least over the threshold, if not in most cases, saved my life.
Snakes and humans share the world uneasily. This spectacled cobra is common in the paddy fields of India. Every year, more than 10,000 people are killed here by snakebite. Antivenom is unavailable. For the same reason, snakebite is a major killer across Central and South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. It's hard to arrive at an exact number, but at the lowest estimate, 50,000 people die each year. In South Africa, Donald Strydom is answering an emergency call.
In this part of South Africa, we have a lot of venomous snakes. People are active in the field here. They often come across snakes, they find them in their houses, and that's when we are called out. Seems to be the place over here. Lots of people standing around there.
A snake in a house is a cause for local excitement, but the occupants have already followed the right emergency procedures. Everyone has left the house, and they've not only closed the door, but sealed it as well with a towel. Donald can be fairly sure that the snake is still inside.
What I'm going to do here is have to put a visor on, because in a situation like this, it's very possibly a spitting snake. So I'm just going to get a few things that I need here. Yeah, there's really a lot of hiding places here. The snake could be anywhere. This is really, yeah, it's a bit dark in here as well, so one's got to be really careful. But just take care where you walk over there. You take it easy. There are places around here where it could easily just spring out on you. So if you guys just stay back a bit there. I'm going to have a look in these dark areas. I need to stay in the open area of the floor, because I suspect it to be behind things around like this here. Oh, that's clear. You know, we could so easily find a mamba in a place like this. And these things are like coiled springs. I mean, once it feels that it's not hidden anymore, it could just come flying out. You see, these are perfect. You'd find rodents here as well, and this is what the snake is probably looking for, or to just trying to hide from the disturbances outside, possibly. You know, this whole area is really, really good. Look at these mats under here. No, nothing there. You know, I don't know. Sometimes they even find an escape. They could actually maybe even get out from where the door is plugged out there. It could have pushed past there. But I think we just maybe should carry on looking. You know, it could also have climbed. I mean, these walls are pretty rough up here. I could take a look somewhere up here. Nothing there. Well, whoops, there's something up there.